to Upstage Downstage with him, Richard Platt, seated in the upper circle.
And him, Stephen Rees, typically seated in the cheap seat.
This is the Theatre Podcast, where we discuss productions we've seen,
Things we've liked,
and may not have liked,
giving our complete unprofessional
and non-biased opinions.
So grab a brew,
Take a seat,
and let's raise that curtain.
On today's episode, we'll be discussing Single White Female. We saw this production at Sheffield Lyceum on the 28th of February 2026. Get ready to be thrilled, shocked and entertained as Single White Female makes its electrifying stage debut. Starring Kim Marsh as Hedy and Lisa Faulkner as Ali, this gripping new psychological drama is adapted for the stage by acclaimed writer and journalist Rebecca Reed. This world premiere production reimagines the 1992 cult movie for a modern audience, weaving social media, obsession and identity into a taut and suspenseful story. So Richard, what's it all about?
Ali is a recently divorced single mum trying to keep her startup afloat. Struggling to balance the pressures of parenting and work, she takes in a lodger to help with the bills. Enter Hedy, warm, helpful and just what Ali needs. But as the lines between guest and friend begin to blur, Ali's new roommate soon reveals a darker, more dangerous side. Blending suspense, dark humour and sharp commentary on modern isolation, Single White Female asks, how far will we go to protect people we love?
But first, our post-show opinion! This single white male was a little unimpressed.
And this single white male was just as bored.
So with all that said, let's set the scene. Right then, let's set the scene. Richard, single white female. Can
I just stop
by
you
the
there?
beginning? Oh, no, what?
You know, you only said set the scene.
Well,
Can you just say that again as set half the scene?
okay, before then, should we just describe what we couldn't see and what we could see when we took to our seats? This is another one which is a bit like Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Well, I felt like I was watching this production through a letterbox.
Yes, from high up. Which meant we couldn't really see anything at the back.
I don't know what sort of design choice had been made, but wow.
Yeah. I know it's based on a film, but you don't have to set it in a film.
We don't need
celluloid.
a widescreen telly, setting to watch this production.
Yes.
It's very, very random choice. Anyway, we'll get to what we're talking about now, but it'll make sense.
Just to add, though, whenever there was people at the back of the stage, we only got to saw their legs.
I felt like we were watching the apocalypse of the flat block with the headless horsemen, really, because half the scenes we saw them bodies moving around on stage, and they weren't even dead.
Headless bodies. But anyway, well, it wasn't that bad. It was just whenever they went
Upstage. It was all right when they were downstage. Pun intended.
We've just gone to radio play now. We'll wait till they come downstage.
Oh no, don't come downstage because they'll make noise. But anyway.
Right, set the scene. Describe the set, if we can.
Okay, so basically it was a open plan flat with a kitchen on stage left and the entrance to the flat on stage right, with a bookcase and just a walkway off that seemed to go somewhere else, but we didn't really know where.
The other bedroom, I think.
Yeah,
and the bathroom.
We sort of didn't really work that bit out because that didn't have a door on it.
No, the two doors we did see, one belonged to Hedy, so that was a spare bedroom, and the other one to Bella, the daughter.
Yeah.
And then through that bit that we can't explain what was there was either Ali's main bedroom and the bathroom.
Yeah.
Whether there was another closet thing, we don't know.
And then there was a kitchen sort of breakfast bar in the stage left as well, so you'd got seats around it and things just to show that was the sort of acting space with a sofa and a coffee table, and that was it a coffee table?
Yeah, well, they weren't in the kitchen area, but there was there. Yeah. However, there was also sliding glass doors at the back of the kitchen area.
So it's a big window that opened out, not sliding. It just swung out.
Oh,
That becomes a key point later. the window swung out. You couldn't really see it properly because of the way it was designed.
Because it was right at the very back. It was only got used once anyway.
And then we come to the bit where I'm talking about half a stage, because whoever came up with this stupid idea, I really will struggle with, because you'd got a set that was basically half the proscenium arch, cut off with big black tabs to show what was hidden behind some of the black cloth was a baby's cot in a hospital ward. But the payoff, although it wasn't really a payoff, the thing we lost then because of that was literally half of the stage, which meant all the viewing lines all the way up from the circle upwards would have really struggled to see a full set on stage.
And the thing is, that could have easily been rectified had they have just moved it back a metre.
Exactly, yeah.
Because then we could have all seen the back of the stage.
Yeah, exactly.
And those sitting in the stalls could have still got their famous, the effect of the film.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, the thing I did like was the perimeter. The perimeter edges were all LED, so that they gave a bit of context, and it's also a bit of a magic trick when they have blackouts to take your eyes away from the what's actually happening on stage. But that proscenium arch tab that came pretty much down to, I'd say, probably 3.5 meters from the bottom. Yeah. It wasn't that much higher, and it just detracted from watching. All you saw then was a pigeonhole of people performing at the front of that stage, and every time they moved to the back of stage, you couldn't really see what they were doing. We've seen it a few times on other things, and I think I just struggle now to think why they do that when it's a touring production. That theatre should be accessible. Theatre should be seen by everybody. So all the cheaper seats, nobody could see. And if this is touring around the country, that's a misstep. If you're in a small bijou theatre that's only got one rack of seating that only has a rake on a stall and no other, other part, no circle, no balcony, it don't matter, because you've got control of the space. This is touring the country, so you've got to make it universal, And
this is exactly what we said about Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. Even if they are cheaper seats, at the top, they're probably still expensive for the poor people. And if a theatre company is going to still take that money, you've still got to give the same production value and performance and everything else that you want to show off in that production. Yeah. To everybody, no matter how much their budget. And to be fair, the seats at the top, they're still verging on like 40, 50 quid.
Exactly. Yeah, they were. So,
they're not.
No, and I think for me,
cheap.
For me, it paints a picture again of elitist theatre, and it's like, hang on a minute, if you want theatre to be open to all, for people to keep coming back, you need to open that up so people can actually see what they're paying for, because there was no warning on the way in. You might only see half the production.
If you pay for a ticket and it's cheap because it says restricted view, you expect it to be because of the actual theatre, either banisters, a camera, a lighting thing, or whatever they've got in their auditorium, not from the actual stage makers themselves.
No, and not on a physical block from a proscenium arch. I mean, you think we saw...
Still Magnolias did something similar, but I was sat in the stalls for that, so I don't know how it would have translated at the top. But there wasn't anything that really cut that off, because that was just set in the hairdressing. So we saw something. We saw Homecoming, and that's set in one room. Yeah, and we saw that right at the back of the room, curve, basically in the curve. But they had no block on the proscenium arch. And yes, people look smaller on stage, but you've got to have all the aesthetics of the production without them blocking off things at the front. It was like... Accidental Death of an Anarchist at the Sheffield studio. They did that with the lighting, strobe lighting all the way around on the cloth. But because it was an intimate setting, it worked perfectly. Exactly. And everyone could see everything.
Especially when you set in a production in one room, and that room never changes. If you can't see that room, it just feels thrown away. It's wasted. So it's frustrating because,
Plus, let's just get this out into the open.
Yeah.
Through Act 1, we had these ladies, one of them in particular, was on a bloody phone. She answered the phone there. There was a lot of people bloody talking all the way through it.
There was just no need to be answering phones. And, yes, we had rustling sweeps, but there was a lot of
You get that in Sheffield a
yeah,
lot.
but it was the answering phones, it was the laughing and giggling and talking. But personally, I'm not surprised when you can't see half the production.
No.
Because if you cut that off, you almost say, well, you're not meant to watch this, so you can do what you like up top, and it just
But
it's frustrating. It shouldn't.
It's frustrating because we're still there to see it, and a lot
Yeah,
of people
exactly.
are there to see it, and they don't
Yeah.
particularly want this woman answering the call
No,
to
exactly.
a husband. Oh
No,
no,
no.
your dinner's on the top shelf in the fridge. Sorry,
I'll call you
no.
back later.
Yeah, second shelf. Yeah, put it in for 30 minutes.
But then when she put the phone down, she had to tell the next door person sat next to her
All about
all
it.
about the conversation, and it's like, just leave it out of the room.
They should bring back hanging. Anyway, moving on. Moving on. So we've talked about the set, and it was quite all right set actually.
It was fine. It was a modern day flat open plan. It felt it had furniture. I mean, the other thing is we didn't really get when they kept. There was a bit of an opening scene where Ali kept putting a picture on the wall and it kept falling off, or it was falling off. We could see her walk up with the picture.
Yeah.
But then you couldn't actually see the picture going in the location.
No, it sort of disappeared.
It was, but it then had no weight because it was like, if that's meant to be a plot point.
Yeah. And
it
also
was
it was
really
a relatively tiny picture as
yeah.
well, so we couldn't quite work out what it was.
No.
I'm guessing it's the baby or the happy family situation for what occurred later with
Exactly.
Hetty, but couldn't really see what it was.
No. And I mean, to be honest, if you're trying to portray a modern day world, they could have even had videos, like they could have even had not video screens or whatever, but they could have had picture frames with images in it, or they could have had something that could have done it in a better way. And I don't know. I think it just, especially for the everybody else in the audience to get it.
Yeah.
So
Single White Female, the play, is an adaptation of the film, which itself is also an adaptation of a book. Now, we've seen quite a few of these where the stage play doesn't necessarily come across as good as the film. Now, where do we think this fits, Richard?
Well, it almost feels like a polar opposite to the film.
Yes.
Which, I feel like this was sold under the pretense of being called Single White Female, and actually it doesn't relate to the film in a lot of ways, really. There's only, for me, a couple of moments that have been taken from it, rather than the whole thing.
Then let's discuss that, because it's been updated. So in the film, we have Buddy, the little Labrador, that Hetty comes back with for Ali. And in the stage version, we don't have a little Labrador, because it'll be difficult to have a dog on stage, although some plays have had dogs that we've seen.
Yeah.
They have Ali's daughter, Bella,
Yeah.
where it's all about, I suppose, somebody who's vulnerable and in that position that's close to Ali, having to have their life shared. Now, that slightly changes the whole dynamic. Plus,
Completely.
in the film, we have Sam, who's Ali's partner, has had an affair, but they're trying to get back together again because he's deeply apologetic and he's seen the error of his ways and he wants to get back with Ali. Now, in the stage play, he's already left Ali. That's over and done with.
He's already moved on and got somebody pregnant.
Exactly.
Sorry, you were going to say.
Well, I was going to say that.
Go on, say
So
it,
you've said it. So it completely changes everything, the dynamic of Hetty being within that space.
It also changes the point of what's the point of Sam being there, because there's no need to rekindle a relationship.
Yeah.
All his purpose is to pick his daughter up
Yeah.
and play the father that he's always to not be a bad father.
Yeah.
So he's not actually wanting to get back, and I think that need is quite a big loss in the writing, because the film is clearly got a motive to always keep returning or ringing or making calls or finding out where Ali is, or
which Hetty intercepts and
deletes messages, and whereas in the play there's no need for him to do that. All he's doing is cheekily picking Bella up early.
Yeah.
The only thing he goes against the grain is, he's picked his daughter up an hour early.
hour.
I mean, it's like...
Well, exactly. And the thing is, throughout this play, it comes across as a man-hater. The bitching about men.
Yeah.
That's what I took from it. Like, he's been on drugs, he's a waste of space and this, that and the other. But you've told us all this. You've explained everything. But when you're showing us who he is, he's the most lovable person. He's the most attentive father.
Yeah.
He's there for his daughter. He wants to see her. He wants to take her out. And actually, it's Ali that's stopping him from seeing her or doing anything and coming across as a complete bitch.
But not just that, she's being dismissive to her daughter. She was being almost not wanting to be near her daughter, and yet the dad's turning up on time. Well, there was no instance where he did anything wrong to be put like, dads are bad and this, that and the other, I hate my dad. Even Bella didn't hate her dad.
No.
It was actually seen as the better thing for her to go away at the weekend with her dad.
If you want to be a good parent,
go
follow
with
the
your
father
dad.
there.
It was really the juxtaposition was really weird. It was like, what's happening here? Because you're portraying Ali as really bad.
I think it comes from someone who's trying to make a single white female the whole term.
Yeah.
Strong, independent women. But when they start bitching about the men, they somehow make the men really good characters.
Yeah, exactly. It was really weird, I think, because... compared to the film, you've got to compare it to the film because they're selling it based on it being an adaptation of the film. At the end of the day, the film portrays that this is somebody who is actually quite...
Character? Sam?
Ali. Ali's character's quite confused about... Because she hasn't got a child at this point.
No.
There's no child in the film.
And she is independent because she's really successful in a job.
It's actually quite a forward-looking production because the film production level is Ali's actually working from home a lot and she's having meetings and this, that and the other, and it's quite portraying this strong woman that's single-minded but in love with somebody. He's done the dirty on her once, but part of her still wants that relationship. And it's like, and so does Sam, because Sam's realised what he's left behind. You got none of that dynamic in the production because in the play. Sorry, there was no dynamic.
Exactly, and in the film, it was Hedy who brought the dog
Buddy
into Ali, but it was Ali who sort of shunned the dog to begin with.
Exactly,
because she hadn't got time for that.
No, but the thing is with the dog, bringing the dog into the dynamic of the film was about actually having something between Ali and Eddie. It was to create this like bond between Ali and Eddie. We don't need Sam anymore.
Eddie,
it's Eddie. Sorry, But so what I mean is, it's to create that like bond that we don't need men anymore.
Exactly,
we're two best friends. We don't need him anymore. And there was none of that in the play. It was like this was about like trying to pull her away from her friends, from it. That's what the film was about. And I just didn't see it.
Also, in the film, it was about Hedy trying to get closer and closer to not just be around Ali, but to be Ali.
Exactly.
She dressed like her. She had her hair set and coloured just like her. Yeah. She went to the same places. She tried to be the actual body double of her. So she could be in a position to perform sexual intercourse to Sam without him even realising.
Exactly. And it's also the moments in where Hedy tried to switch places almost with Ali before some major changes in towards the end of the film, where in a moment of distress she threw her arms around Sam to weed herself into that like dynamic to try and see if he would turn to her instead. And it was almost craving that affection, but also yet again another thing to take off Ali. It was another like lingering hands and all those things that just take him away. And I think that with all the build-up between Hedy and Sam in the film, I didn't see that in the actual play because it just happened out of nowhere. There was a moment in the second half where she gave him a drink and gave him a this and then she threw her arms around him, but it came out of nowhere and there was no longing for Ali to get back with Sam. It was just a bit like, it just felt a bit wishy-washy. Some of the things that started to become quite apparent was in the actual play version, yes, it talks about modernising the script and bringing it up to date and things,
Yeah.
but I felt like we were being force-fed social media, Instagram, YouTube, this, that, the other. With Facebook, but we kept being like fed the lines that it was social media, but I don't really feel like the production it was influenced by social media. I think we were just using almost buzzwords. It was like a bit of bingo going off to like make sure we've got all the social media elements in, because rather than it actually being a hook, it just became confusing as to, so how has Hedy known Ali this long? And it all became a bit like, what? It was a bit confusing. There was no, I felt we were being told more than...
Yeah, it was, yes. Exposition was given out quite a lot rather than us being shown these things. But also, it was very tech-heavy.
Yeah, it was.
In terms of laptops, iPhones and stuff like that. Them constantly having conversations whilst looking at the screen in front of us. For an audience, that's boring.
Exactly.
How are you going to interpret what's on the screen or show us that? From where we were sat, there might have been something down there,
exactly.
so to say, but we have no idea.
I think for me, something I said on the night, I said, unless you're going to go full Dear Evan Hansen style production where you actually showing the social media posts and you're actually putting it in front of people and actually showing that there's a history and there's coverage and there's every time that one of them's on the phone, something's flashing up. And this is why, in some ways, the picture frames could have been a useful thing where you could have actually mirrored what they're seeing on the phone, on the screen, so you can see the photos or interactions and things that would reinforce what they're trying to say.
I mean, they do it on TV.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
someone's having a conversation via text message, you see the text come up on the screen now.
Yeah, you get so repeated to you. So it's a good way to do it, and it also adds a bit of a depth of level to a set that's not all. It's going to be quite flat when it's one room.
Yeah. Another part of the technological stuff, which we've touched upon, there's also stuff around the apartment or the flat, basically, because it was a modern one, but it had issues, and so Ali needed extra funds to support her lifestyle there. That's why she had the lodger. Yeah. The writer explains that it's about how that single white female has to deal with all these other things within new builds of an apartment and try to compare that to the lavish style Gothic building they were in the film and how she would have afforded that. But at the same time, when you do that, if you're going to start making out that there's something wrong with the lift all the time and you're going to have these doorbells ring or the sounds blaring out and shocking the audience and just irritating people by loud noises and stuff, you've got to have that as a payoff.
Exactly.
When you're going through this, I'm expecting that to be used somehow. Yeah. It was like a setup for nothing. I didn't know, because I hadn't watched the film first. I was expecting something to be like, is this a ghost story? Is this going to be supernatural or something else? Is
it The Shining?
Exactly. If you're going to keep referencing the lift, what about what's in the lift? What's going on?
Exactly.
Does that mean someone is not going to be able to get into the apartment in time because they're trapped in the lift? Is that going to cause something?
Is it just to show that we're not on the ground floor level? Is that it?
I think that's all that it's done for, but... If you're going to have something, it's Chekhov's gun, basically, isn't it? But in lift form. Yeah. Nothing happened with that lift.
No.
It wasn't used as a way to resolve something or escalate a problem further.
I think also, one thing I was going to mention as well, something I was going to... Stop it.
No, I can't help it. It's just we're so in our own different ways. We're just struggling trying to link words together.
So one of the... I want to talk about Ali.
Oh.
Because there's a couple of points I want to make here that you'd probably... I don't know if you're going to agree with me on or not.
We'll soon find out.
But in the film, I was going to refer to the film, Ali had a definite, clear role and a job and a position and point that actually mattered. Yeah. In the play, it didn't seem to matter.
Because we never saw it.
Because we never knew what she did.
It was on the laptop.
Exactly. But it was like tap, 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 and then she'd go to a meeting. But you never knew what that had within this world.
No. And also to add to that is the whole thing of Ali being pressured sexually in the film by her boss, which added another element to the whole single white female of it sort of mirroring. She isn't just being stalked by a woman,
No.
but she's getting sexually harassed by a man.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
all that, what that contains. And for this play, we haven't got any of that because they've eliminated that entirely out.
Exactly. And I think that was that positioning of all of that didn't help either. I also didn't understand why Graham's role suddenly became a business partner.
I think it was to link them and to link him into it, weave it in. But again,
in the film, he was just a neighbour.
Just a neighbour.
And he was just there as a friend with a shoulder to cry
mate.
on.
Yeah.
He was just somebody that, and it didn't need that level of having to link them. You don't always have to link certain characters because they're part of the process. But also, the other bit that was missed, Graham in the film heard a lot of the conversations before even though he got probably half a conversation, he was listening to some things happening before it even happened. Like he was hearing, through the walls. And
but also with that, I mean, what did transfer over? Part of the single white female thing was having a gay best friend or someone who is supportive of you.
Yeah.
And to be fair, we did get that with
that was good,
character, although he did double up as a role in their business world. But again, because she went down that route of being contained in this one flat, physically on stage, you can't then open it out to other places like her being at work.
Exactly.
Because she's working from home. So you miss out that section completely. And you also miss out the whole hairdresser scene.
Exactly.
Where they're both together getting their hair done.
Yeah.
Which, when they're doing that together, because Hetty's done that for her and treated her, that's showing their bond.
Yeah,
but we don't get the bond in the play. We get the version where Hetty's done it to attract Sam.
And I mean, they gave the other thing is for me, they gave Hetty's role in the play a very strong character position that she's a photographer and she goes on fashion shoots and this, that, and the other. She does all these extra things. So why didn't they link Hetty's role with Ali's role?
Yeah.
Because Ali's been in the fashion world, clearly doing a lot in the film, obviously. Yeah. But they could have brought that link strongly in.
Well, exactly, that could have
because
bonded
then
them a lot
that could
more.
have been the reason that she's been following her, because she's been a photographer at all these other things.
Yeah.
And it's like they've never crossed paths, so she's never really thought about it. And
sorry, I was just going to add in there. You're quite right, because Ali could have been modelling dresses for Hetty, who could have been taking pictures of her with a proper camera.
Yeah, exactly.
We only ever really saw Hetty with a camera from a phone.
Exactly. Yeah.
I can't remember her getting
I know
a whole
how to
Canon
take a
out.
photo on a phone.
Yeah, there was no extended lenses or anything like that.
Because if she was trying to fake it that much, she would have had equipment
Yeah.
to show that. Yeah. I suppose the other thing I was going to bring up as well about Ali is, yet again in the film, it wasn't just about getting a lodger in to pay the bills.
Yeah.
It was getting a lodger in to provide a bit of distraction from Sam not being there. There was an interview process, and there was I've got to pick the right candidate, but the one that turned up wasn't the right one. And for me, it was that depth that it lacked in the play.
Yeah, but also it was very convenient that the moment she decided to put out an advert, it was somebody who knew her.
Yeah, exactly.
And wanted to get back at her. That's what I gathered.
Yeah.
Because of the whole history of her actually in the hospital giving birth a long time ago.
Yeah, and they kept flashing up that birth scene that was a bit like, we couldn't really get the
cradle scene.
The cradle thing.
Yeah.
It was a bit strange.
They keep bringing up the birth scene. It's like, I can't remember them giving birth at the top of the stage.
Yeah, well, yeah. I just think that it just didn't need that repeat all the time. Sometimes I feel like there's an element at the moment in theatre where we've got to show people what's happened because we're not going to remember.
Yes, but the thing is, it's like you're sowing the seeds of something more sinister, something deeper, and that's going to be part of it, but you don't know why. And I get that, but if you're going to keep doing it, each time it needs to be something different.
Exactly.
Or I don't know what the floor was like up there, but had there just been like a flash of a nurse hanging there by it, or a woman similar to Ali being there looking over, or whatever they wanted to say about it. They could have done each step differently.
And you think if those picture frames had all had different TV monitors in, they could have done that.
Yeah.
Because each one could have had a different, and then return back to a picture normal. It could have just had that.
That's it.
It would have just shocked people. It would have unnerved the audience.
Yeah.
And that's what you're meant to be doing with this.
Yeah.
Going, why? What's going off? Why are they, smouldering something?
Agreed, because there was a lot of space at the top of that
There was.
set. So instead of that cradle,
Yeah.
like physically there under a blue light in the centre, they could have had 3 screens there.
Exactly.
They could have actually done the cradle thing, but they could have done the hospital, and then we could have also seen what's on the text messages and on the laptop.
It would have all been a
slideshow, whatever.
Just something that repeated, gave you a bit of like, oh God, what's happening now?
Because the reason why it was above there to begin with, or what they were going for, is to show that it's outside the play. It's outside. It's history. It's done. Well, you can do that with the screens because that'd be more effective.
And for me, I'm going to put this to you as well. This would have been another thing. Take note, because you might want to do this in another production.
Right, I'm getting my pen out. Let's just right now.
So behind the windows in the kitchen, where the windows are short, couldn't that have been a hospital ward with a baby in it, with a nurse walking past the window with lit from the other side of the window, like you're actually literally seeing that scene?
Do you mean like in a transition?
Yeah, a transition scene in the dark. Yeah, you could have literally created that almost with shutters. You could have actually created the feel of like actually really unnerve.
Yeah, right at the back.
At the back that you would have come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like this thing where we keep flashing it up at the top had no. It was just an inanimate object. It wasn't. It wasn't shocking enough.
But then, if you were sat at the very front on the stalls and you could see everything, could you have seen?
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't have
would
seen.
You have seen
well,
the
no,
cradle
you
at
wouldn't
the top
have looked properly. You'd have just thought.
No, you don't. No. So again, even if you were down the bottom, you wouldn't. See
I just think there could have been those little levels that would have added that depth to the performance that would have shocked everybody a little bit.
Yeah. So overall, the whole writing of this, I felt personally that it was very much one of those plays that was post-it notes. Each scene had a certain post-it note. Nothing was necessarily woven in properly.
No.
It wasn't fully mixed. It was very much, this is this scene, this is the next one. And there was a very good example of this is within the dialogue of... Well, within the dialogue that made no sense, basically. There was a scene very early on where Ali cuts her finger because she's been chopping vegetables or something. And then Hedy puts her finger under the tap, puts a towel on it, and then I can't think if she gets a plaster or not, but basically Ali walks into the lounge, and then Bella comes out of her bedroom.
Yeah.
And she's on the phone. She's not paying any attention. Typical 14-year-old, whatever, in her own little bubble. Oh, you cut your finger. What's that about? And then there was a whole dialogue spivel of what happened. And then they went to talk about something else whilst Hedy was chopping up the cucumber.
Yeah.
And then, whilst doing that, there was plenty of space within that dialogue to have had Bella ask, what have you done to your finger?
Yeah, exactly.
But it was so clunkily done. Like, see, she wouldn't have noticed Ellie's finger. She'd have been in her own little world. Come straight out, because she'd just been called for dinner. She goes up and then she starts, not necessarily talking to Hedy, but getting a bit distracted by her because she's doing the supper or the dinner. And then it's just the way they put the dialogue in at first, because we've got to mention the finger first, and then we're going to cut to the making the food, and then we're going to cut to, well, you said you didn't have to speak to her, and so on and so forth. You know, it's very formulaic.
Yeah, exactly.
You can weave these things in and make it just flow a little bit better.
I think there was a couple of moments I've noticed with that similar to you, where one of them was the faulty electrics, because for me, if I heard that the electrics are faulty more than I did in that first half, we knew something was going to happen in the second half.
Yeah.
Because, oh my God, the electrics aren't really bad, and we know
and the lift.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I'm thinking, here we go, we know what's coming.
Yeah.
But then it was really linear when we got to that point. It was like suddenly the daughter knows that she can climb on top of the units that we've not seen anybody else do to bang the electric box to make it work again.
Yeah.
But we've never seen anybody else do that. So where did she learn that from?
Exactly. It wasn't. It was.
And
there was no setup for that either.
And then there was another moment that was when Graham interacted with Ali in the first half.
Yes.
And it was like, these are business partners.
Yeah.
And Ali there was a couple of lines that Ali said to Graham where it was like, my ex-husband, that's this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And it was like, but he knows your ex-husband.
Yes.
He works with you. She didn't use Sam, or she didn't use this, that, and the other. It was like she was explaining a plot point, or it
was just exposition, info dump.
It was like we didn't need it. There was a lot of moments like that, but they're the best ones to explain what we heard as like, are we being told this because I feel like, oh, that's why we've this, that, and the other, and it's like it just became really basic. In some
basic
places.
And ploddy, yeah. I mean, with the whole electrics, we did have the scene with Hedy. Ali was trying to fix the wires for the hair straighteners.
Yeah.
But whilst Hedy was trying to assist, and she kept getting rejected all the time, those bits were good.
Yeah.
They were really good interplay, little moments. And then we saw her turn the electric switch on for her to get for it to blow up or for her to get shocked. I can't remember now. But as you say, there was never a scene at the very beginning where we saw Ali get on, sort the control boxes out because something's gone wrong, and for Bella to copy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, if they live in each other's shoes, that would be what they both would do.
Yeah.
Because it's replicating what your parent does, or, because you've seen them do it. It's like,
exactly. I mean, if you've got a character who's 14-year-old and they come onto stage or whatever, even if it's in a film or TV, and they pull a gun out or they shoot a gun, you need to know, how do they know how to do that, especially if it's against their character.
Yeah.
Who's taught them that? It needs to have been set up.
Yeah, exactly that.
So for her fiddling about with those electrics,
it's the whole, it doesn't paint the picture that the daughter's that close, because it doesn't matter how argumentative the two are.
Yeah.
There's still elements that she would copy that what her mum had done.
Yeah.
Because when the mum's not there, she would do something that her mum had done. Because there's that,
Or even if her dad did it.
Exactly.
Whilst her dad were there with her,
might jump
and the electrics go, he gone and do it and taught her.
Yeah, exactly.
That would have been a good way.
Yeah, it would.
To have shown her how to do that. But yeah, with the clunky dialogue and the whole backstory of work and stuff was very ploddy.
It was. Yeah.
So now let's just talk about the direction here, because whilst we've had a bit of a cumbersome bit with the writing, we've got the direction of it. Now, I just briefly mentioned a scene where Hedy was cutting up the cucumbers.
Yes.
For their dinner.
Yes.
They were put to one side, never used again.
No.
And they ate.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, I don't know if it was like cooked chicken or what, but a lot of their stuff they didn't mix to actually have a sit-down dinner or to eat anything. It was just, this is what we're going to have, but we've just cut up the cucumbers. We're not going to have them at all.
Exactly. I mean, I would say to you, where is the fridge? Because they were putting the milk in the high-level cupboard.
Yeah.
And the
lettuce went in there.
The lettuce went in the high-level cupboard.
Yeah.
So have we got a fridge, or are we just putting things in the cupboard and letting it go off?
Is it a fridge in a cupboard? But it looked like a cupboard.
And I know we're talking about random things here, but there was some moments where you're thinking, what the hell's happening? It's like, what surreal universe are we in? Has the world been flipped upside down? And it was crazy.
It would have been better off, having the fridge in the counter bit.
It would have,
because at least you could have had the light inside shine.
Or even the fridge in the breakfast bar, because some breakfast bars...
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Is that not what I said?
No, yeah. Right,
did I say that?
Yeah, you did, yeah. I like that.
Oh, you let me off.
This time.
Yeah. So yeah, let's just put our milk and lettuce in the cupboard.
I mean, when we talk about direction, I think...
Oh, actually, sorry, can I just mention as well?
Of course you can.
There's a lot of things that went in a cupboard under the sink. The parcels.
Yeah, everything went under the sink in a cupboard.
What the heck is that about?
It's because they haven't got a fridge, so they've got plenty of room to put things in it.
I mean, if I was returning a box back to Amazon and I had to go to the post office or whatever,
I'd always keep
the last thing I'd do is put it under my kitchen sink. Why? Because I've got a load of bloody Pledge and cleaning Dettol and
what happens if it leaks?
Stuff and stuff in there.
What happens if it leaks? It's going to drip
I'm
all
not,
over your
I'm
boxes.
I'm not having a leak in there.
No.
I might have a lettuce, but not a
You
leak.
should be putting it in the fridge, not in the top cupboard.
I'll put it in the frying pan. But certain things just didn't make sense
No.
for where we were sat.
Exactly.
Now, whether it was a fridge with a cupboard-like door on the top because it was modern, I can get that. But we never saw the glow from the fridge. We never saw it. It just looked like
Just
a normal flat, plain...
bog standard cupboard.
Yeah.
I mean, when we talk, step back and look at... Go on.
Had running water, though. I'll give them that. They had running water in the tap.
Yeah, it did.
Okay, carry on.
That's easy done, though. I think for me, directorally, it was fine in a lot of ways, but then there was other ways where I couldn't work out whether it was the actor or the actual direction of the actor.
Yeah.
Of certain things that was happening. And what I mean is by there were certain times that Ali, I felt like was overacting.
Okay.
As in, she was almost, her arms were very much expressive when we're talking about certain things, and it's like I don't know if that was an actor,
yes,
or a directorial thing. You know what I mean? Or I don't know. Couldn't really work it out.
Yeah, that is a tricky one though.
It is a tricky one
because you don't know, not necessarily who to blame or to praise, but it's one of those things where it's sort of been overlooked and just looks a bit odd.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, because it stood out. I mean, I will commend them that they dragged the dead body off. Ali dragged the dead body off
No. It was Hedy.
Sorry, it's Hedy, wasn't it?
Yes, it was Kim Marsh.
Sorry, it's Hedy. So I will commend the direction for Hedy when she dragged the body off, and she went the long way.
Yeah,
and that's what you should do, because you never take the shortcut. Because when you're doing productions, it should always be the long way. Because when it's something like that it's a key scene, everybody's got to see it, and everybody needs to. Yeah. Life doesn't go the shortcut all the way all the time. It's always going to be a bit of it adds more level to what happens on stage if you've got something like that.
There was a particular scene where Hedy was crying after her little breakdown. She was on the floor, and there was a knife. She had a knife at this point. It was way into Act 2.
Yes.
And there was just a bit of... Because you noticed this, didn't you?
That
there was a lot of time to have grabbed that knife.
But Ali was stood too close to the knife when she was trying to calm Hedy down.
Yeah.
Too close to the knife, she could have just kicked away.
Yeah.
She should have just been the other side of her, or just a bit more distant, so that it was not as easy to diffuse the situation.
Yeah.
Because it took a long time for that. And when you're talking about sinister moments or moments where it could go one way or the other, and you could get murdered or you couldn't, it's like you really need to play into that moment. It just felt a little bit like, oh well, I could have kicked that knife away, stood there. You know, it's like it was just too much, too close, too much. You know.
I mean, on the whole, Gordon Greenberg, who did direct this, did an overall good job.
Yeah, exactly.
It was okay. I think for me personally, there was just a couple of scenes that could have done with the dialogue being tweaked a bit for it to have worked a little bit better. But no, people moved around the set and quite well and comfortably, and everything had its reason to do things. Yeah. There wasn't anything necessarily done stupidly.
And I feel like the perspective of the characters knew who they were. They had got they portrayed the characters individually. You knew that everybody was an individual. You know, it didn't feel like they didn't know their makeup and who they were and what they were doing. And I felt like that came across. But obviously, with what we've talked about in the writing, the story doesn't help when you can do a great job directly, but actually the story still doesn't come across.
That's another part I was going to. That's another part I'd say as well, because you can only direct what you've got in the script. Where it was about Hedy making a martini or a cocktail for Sam to entice him around to then slip the drug in and so on and so forth. I felt that needed a bit of a rewrite or a tweak, just so you could have done a little bit more with the movement there, because they felt like they were at opposite ends of the stage.
Yeah, exactly.
They could have been having this conversation whilst having a drink as well,
Exactly.
or doing something different. Now I know it was like he didn't necessarily want to have a drink, but she could have been like making the martini up and shaking it right in front of him if they were both sat intimately in that kitchen set.
And it's interesting how, I know we're dipping back to the writing now, but now we're talking about this part. In the film, all that happened was Hedy actually turned up unannounced at Sam's hotel room when he was half asleep and like in the middle of the night to catch him out because she'd had her hair done and cut just to look just like Ali.
Yeah.
And there was no drugs involved. There was no alcohol involved.
No.
There was no like misdemeanors. It was just a early morning. Sam's half awake, not knowing what's happening, and actually being taken advantage of. But no, we've got to portray it with drugs and alcohol and in the new version. Do you know what I mean? It felt a little bit like, so to get this man to because this man's actually recovered from alcohol and drugs. He's
wanting to get married. He's got a baby on the way.
Got a baby on the way, and he's being a doting dad
father,
to his previous relationship.
Yeah.
So we've got to drug him and get him back on alcohol to actually make him.
She's going to fuck him up.
Yeah. It just, but I think that's why it almost felt like, it just didn't.
It felt wrong.
Yeah, it did. It did. It felt like the role reversal of Rohypnol and that whole like date rape thing.
It is, but in a way, it's like she's getting back at him in the stage version, but she alleged to. Oh, hang on a minute. Is that the whole point of this play then? Because was he behind the wheel of the car?
But it's really difficult to know that.
That caused the accident for her to. Do you know what I mean? Is that?
Yeah.
But when she came in, it wasn't as if she planned to go after him anyway.
No, exactly.
It's an odd one, isn't it?
It's really weird. It's
because that wasn't written in, I don't think, fully.
No, and this is what
to showcase.
I felt like it wasn't worked out enough to actually come across.
Because what we did get was her, whether she was trying to be the grinder guy for Jeffrey or Graham, to make his relationship go a bit sour. Like she's trying to get at everyone, isn't she?
She's basically trying to push everybody away from Ali as well and become Ali.
Yeah.
But in a way, she was trying to replace Ali in this.
Yeah.
Not be with Ali forever.
But trying to replace Ali to be with Sam, who potentially could have been behind the wheel on coke, who probably made her miscarriage a child or whatever.
And this is where it gets confused.
It's very mixed.
Because the whole premise of the film is basically her being replaced and taking her life, but not needing any of these other people that she's killed around her.
Yeah.
She just wanted that life. It was weird because she just wanted Ali. She was obsessed with Ali.
Yeah.
Whereas this didn't come across as that. This just came across as...
Yeah.
It was very strange because there was nods to it. There was nods to it, like when the daughter starts spending more time with Hedy and that, and the other. But that didn't get strong enough for me.
I mean, those bits were really good.
They were.
Those scenes with Hedy. Really well written scenes throughout this. So it's not like it was all bad. No. It's just it got a little bit confusing and sticky in places that just, I think, made other people out to be not what they intended.
Yeah, exactly.
I.e. Sam.
Yeah.
In a way. Also, direction-wise, crescendo at the very end.
Yeah.
When Hedy met her demise.
Yeah.
Spoilers. A lot of people laughed.
Yeah.
And I think that is because of the whole build-up to it and it just being a little... I don't know... Was it slapstick?
It felt it.
Yeah.
Because I think what got me is when Hedy got the gun, she was pointing it at Graham and Ali, who were now in the window. Point that I was going to make from earlier was Hedy was pointing the gun at Ali and Graham. Graham had to, behind his back, push the window wider because the window was shut when they were in there. And it's like, we've got to just open this because somebody's going to fall through it in a minute. Spoiler. It was a bit, but it was a bit like, oh, I've got to push this because it didn't open as quick as it should have done. And it just felt, like you said, slapstick. It was starting to feel a bit like, okay, so somebody's going to fall out the window. It didn't.
Any minute now.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And it was like, and that because you'd got people in the audience that was probably seeing the silly side of it now because it was getting a bit. Yeah, well, exactly.
They've come off the phones.
Yeah, and it just started to feel a bit like
a bit of a joke.
Yeah,
but also like within the film, Hedy goes on a bit of a killing spree.
Yeah, exactly.
She kills the boss.
Yeah,
she kills. She gags and ties Ali up on a seat as well, which we've completely
bearing
forgot.
in mind she's also killed the dog.
She's killed the dog, yes. She's gone after Graham, as well, and then
her and Ali start actually having physical
because
fight Ali's what you see towards the end of the film is Ali's actually trying to put cries for help out, turn the telly up so everybody can hear it, make noise, this, that, and the other. So it's upsetting Hedy's game, and we got none of that build up. We got basically waving a gun in the room.
Even writing a communication to her boss or those where she works, because everything went wrong there, to signal that she needs help.
Exactly.
Something isn't right. Yeah. And we never actually got any of that.
No, we didn't.
Really?
No.
So it was sort of like rushed right at the very end. And I think this is the issue when you keep it in a one-room location. You can still have that location, but when you physically put a barrier around with the whole LED tape and just you then prevent them from going to the hairdresser, having a different scene and having things basically a bare stage. What we talk about, bare stage production. You could have done so much more, and told the story in a little bit of a easier way.
Yeah,
I feel.
I mean, let's face it. You look at something like Heather's. It starts in a school, and they have a scene in a bedroom, and it literally
changes all the time,
a small mattress and a bit of a window. Yeah. It's enough to give you that. You know exactly where it is. Yeah, and it literally is just shoved out to the front of stage, and it gives you that element of difference, and you don't need. You don't need to keep it in one space sometimes.
That's it. I mean, Book of Mormon. I mean, that's about stage production.
Exactly.
Because it's about travel. It's about moving around.
Yeah, exactly.
In essence, so is this. If they're following the script of if they're following the storyline of the film.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she goes out, you could easily open it out to other things.
Well, you think come from away, tables and chairs. That's it.
Same.
It takes you to so many different places, and it's just. And I think this is just it's quite narrow-minded of how it was designed as a piece, because it comes across quite quite restrictive. It's it doesn't help.
I think you can write something in one set and location and add to it like it's a cooking pot, a pressure pot. You put in all these things in to make it like boil and just get really heated and stuff like that. But if you're trying to do that from an original story that has got external things as well, you need to think about how you're going to replicate that by bringing them into the story without replacing them for something that means nothing.
Yeah, because it's like the scene where obviously we have the breakup where in the film where I know we're comparing it, but it's the scene where Ali breaks up for the first time with Sam.
Yeah.
She goes and seeks solace at Graham's house. Yeah. At Graham's flat. And the thing is with that, you get that connection. You understand what Graham's purpose is straight away. Yeah. You haven't got to explain it, that he's the gay best friend and this, that and the other. He's just that link to be that character, and you understand there's more levels to Ali then. Yeah. I think the problem is with this, we just got him rocking up, falling out with her, which we never had it was another thing. I didn't understand that position either, of them falling out. It was a bit, it didn't make sense. I understood what Hedy was doing, was pushing all the friends away. But yeah, again, it didn't
No.
build up enough. And actually, thinking about
Yeah.
it, Ali didn't go away on holiday. Sam did. Sam went away for business in the film,
Oh, in the film.
whereas this one, Ali's gone away. So the main character that you went to focus on
Yeah.
about the whole transition and the change and the control and
Yeah.
has been allowed to leave the house.
And never said anything to the father.
No. So who's portrayed as who in that situation? Anyway, we'd talk about writing again, aren't we?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of points. The thing is, they all need discussing. So one of the iconic scenes within the film is that Sam gets an eyeful, literally, of stiletto heel.
Yes.
Now, in the play, they kept true to that. Whether it's iconic or not, I don't know, because I've seen the film very much later in life, so I don't know if it is an iconic thing. But it's very unusual, and I could see it being something people would reference if they say, have you seen that film? Oh, the one with the stiletto in the eye. I could see it being that kind of a thing. So when it came to the stage production of that, they did carry that one across, and it was quite shocking as well. I found it shocking.
Yeah, it was. The only thing that I think that got me was, yet again, we had the setup of the Louboutins, and we're going to buy some cheap ones, and we're going to buy these red Louboutins for the daughter, and then we'll get another pair, and this, that, and the other. And I felt like we were being shoved in our face, the Louboutins. Whereas in the film, it never happens.
No.
It's just the iconic scene of him getting it in the eye, shall we say. Whereas in the play, there was this big thing about these Louboutins, these red shoes for the daughter, because she wanted to go to the prep school with these proper shoes on for the party. And it was like we keep being thrust these shoes all the way through it, knowing that that's going to end up in Sam's eye, whereas in the actual film, all you get is the final bit where it happens. It doesn't, and then it comes out of the blue rather than it being a setup all the time.
Yeah, I mean, how could they have done that differently, as if she was always wearing them? Because I mean, Hedy did wear them.
I think that was the thing. She wore it when she was seducing him.
Because we heard them on the mics at the front of the stage.
But she was wearing them to seduce him, or but
in that god awful dress.
Yeah, but I think it was more that those shoes are more the link to the daughter committing crimes as well later down the line, because Hedy bought her the same shoes or whatever.
But it's weird in a way, because if you think about Bella, she had nothing to do with Hedy.
No.
So why is she imitating Hedy's life of being psychotic or a killer?
It's because her mum's paying no attention to her, so that's where it became weird.
Thing, yeah.
It became like another conversation that I think.
So Hedy's turned the child.
The child against her mum, but the mum gave us no reason to see that link too much, really. And I think, and this whole shoe thing was almost like, I can't afford these expensive shoes, but Hedy bought them for her, and then Hedy then wears them to seduce Sam, and it just became like, we've got loads of shoes, and
and like Bella ended up becoming like a mini Hedy. Is that where you really want to take it? I don't know.
You've left the legacy on to the next person.
Yeah, but it seems a bit weird, because it falls into that whole thing of the three women are bad.
Yeah, exactly.
The two men are good. Yeah. And even the girl at school who was bullying Bella, that's another girl that's a twat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Moving on to our next segment, as we say, we're here for the drama. Right then, let's talk about the acting here.
Yes, let's.
We had some great performances from the main cast themselves. I would say particularly Kim Marsh.
Yes, she was great.
She was just absolutely fantastic as portraying that character of Hedy.
Yeah, and ever since she walked in stage, she was clearly in character.
Yes.
As Hedy. Just great presence.
Well, she didn't bring presents.
Well, no, she didn't.
No, but I know what you're saying.
Up to the balcony.
Yeah.
But, I mean, yes, we couldn't see all of the fullest of the stage or whatever, but you could clearly pick up on her characterizations and use of words. And, she just knew her position and point of view, basically. You could tell.
It was very interesting to see her perform opposite Lisa Faulkner as well, because they both brought something very different to their performances.
Yeah, they did. Definitely.
Lisa was very much... completely different to Hedy.
Yeah.
the portrayal there was quite subdued and career-driven. They're very focused on what she wanted to do.
Yeah, I think as Ali's character, I think
Ali is a character.
Yeah, no, as as Ali's character, that's what I'm saying. As in Ali's,
I thought you got it wrong.
No,
because normally
Ali's
Lisa's character.
Lisa. This is where I sort of struggled a little, where I couldn't work out if it was direction on how to play Ali or it was just confusion on how Ali acted. Because there was times when I think there was just moments where, because the character felt confused to me, that came across in performance a little bit, as in confused in the sense of you didn't know a lot of her depth or backstory because it was different to the Ali portrayed in the film. I think it just felt a little bit more...
Well, yes, because the writing, it just altered her characteristics completely there.
It did, completely, yeah. But not just that, I feel like it took some of it away, like where there wasn't as much depth in Ali's character. And that felt... It almost came across that she was describing certain things to tell the audience, but then that became almost like a narration rather than actually a performance of a character. I think there were some moments like that. Yeah.
And I think it's slightly difficult to judge here because I wasn't particularly bowled over by the character of Ali because, as you say, that character was very much hither and thither in a way, whereas Kim Marsh as Hedy brought a proper full-on character of this someone with a borderline personality disorder,
manipulator, and sort of player of games almost. Like,
and there's more to go there, and she really did deliver in every scene and everything. But with the character of Ali, it was difficult. It was really, I was struggling, to be honest, because it felt like there was nothing much there. Nothing. Yeah. I don't know whether that was not 100% Lisa was giving, or was it that she'd not done stage shows in a long time, or it was just how that character was to be played out.
Yeah, exactly.
But there wasn't much there.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it has clearly been written that she's not done stage for 25 years. And maybe there's been a difficulty in transition from that stop-start filming style with film, TV, where you can rerun a scene if it doesn't work, or you can do it again. Whereas live theatre, you've got one shot and that's it. You've got to just go for it. And I think it was hard then because of the writing. Or directing, you couldn't work out whether some of the hand gestures she was doing, because she was doing a lot of talking with her hands, and it's easy to do that as a almost early on acting style for sort of young performers, but or it's not necessarily young performers, but less experienced performers in acting on stage. We don't always need to see hand gestures. We don't always need to see pointing and almost telling a story through your hands. That needs to be reined in a little bit.
Yeah, and also certain scenes, it looked as if she didn't know what else to do within that scene.
Exactly.
But again, is it down to the director or the actor?
Exactly.
The actor can bring so much to a character, but if they didn't want that for the character from the director, then it just... not quite sure. But to compare that to how Kim portrayed Hedy,
exactly,
she delivered in every single scene, in every aspect of her character, so it was more Hedy heavy.
Yeah, exactly. And you also saw the evolution of Hedy, where you didn't necessarily see it with Ali's character.
Not really.
It was very difficult to place it anyway, but Hedy's character became progressively more unhinged, shall we say.
Well, in a way...
And it showed that.
Yeah, but in a way, the play was set up... Well, it comes across like the play is set up to be Hedy's play.
Yeah,
rather than play for both of them.
Yeah.
To experience that someone taking over their life.
Yeah, and also removing all the people around them to support them, and the only person in their support network is Hedy, basically. And I think that's where it struggled a little, I think.
Well, I think agree, because it got diluted. In the film, it was very much a two-hander of these two women. But in the play, it got watered down because there was other people there as well.
Exactly.
Which isn't so bad, but how they managed to get Ali's character across was very much on the computer doing things or going away.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Sometimes it's as if she wasn't even there.
Yeah, and it's like, what was the purpose? Because there's no then link to Sam. There's no link to almost a daughter, because she's a 14-year-old daughter that wants to become a woman, basically, and it's Hedy that's helping to do that. But there's no interaction with Ali, Hedy, and there was some, but there wasn't enough to cement that, and I think that was the difference.
I think it needed more scenes with the pair of them together.
Yeah, exactly.
In the film, they're very much sisters.
Well, it's like the hairdresser scene.
Well, exactly, that's
in
a
the film,
typical scene,
it's actually quite a small scene in the film, but it says so much about that transition from they're just housemates to actually this is becoming cringy and strange because Hedy's just got a haircut exactly the same, and yes, there's slightly nod to it in the play, but I think that the weirdness of it is where the film gets it right, because it makes you go, well, why have you copied my hair? And
but also wear the clothes as well.
Yeah, exactly, and like that's something we'll touch on. And I think we're not really touched on clothes, but there was one item of clothing. I suppose this is the only place we'll pick it up in.
Yeah,
where this was meant to be a dress that was being sold on Vinted that was meant to be designer. Now, the reaction, no wonder there was not much reaction on stage to this dress.
No, because it looked awful.
Because it wasn't a designer dress, it was just a wrap-round dress that...
More like a cardigan thing,
yeah,
or pullover.
And you could have bought it from anywhere. Like, it was just it was nothing special. There was no glitz or glam in it. And when it was meant to be this dress that drew Sam to her and the seduction and everything. It
just looked like a woolly thing you could get from Sainsbury's.
It was just it was a sleek number. It was the sleek, it wasn't the jumper, that was the jumper later on. This was
the brown one.
Yeah, but the sleek dress, the full dress was just a slinky, almost chuck in a bag thing that was just the same. But all of it felt a bit like there was no, when these people are meant to be in fashion. It didn't give full-on fashion, did it? You know, acting-wise for the rest, I think Amy Snudden as Bella was brilliant. Start to end, she played her character really well.
Well, it's as if she really enjoyed being in that scene and that setting.
Yeah.
Whenever you saw her,
I felt level of comfort, wasn't there? She almost looked like she lived there. She fully committed to being it. Yeah, but there's a difference between going through the motions and then actually being that 14-year-old child, like. Teenager and sort of acting up and playing up and sort of
she played that character really, really well. So even the guys were brilliant. You know, Andrew as Graham and Johnny McGarity as Sam played their parts really, really well.
Yeah, they did.
Even though I perhaps got issues with their parts and how they were written, you know, they played what was written really well.
Yeah, they came across as the characters. There was no, you know, they didn't feel like it was like they're completely off.
No.
And I think this is why we spent a lot of time talking about the writing of this, because I think actually the crux of this production lies with that.
Yeah, well, it does.
You know, generally.
I mean, even in the write-up, I think the author mentions the film being quite camp. It's like, well, it's not really camp.
No.
I mean, it's a classic.
But even the gay guy portrayed in it isn't very overtly camp. He's just,
there's nothing remotely camp about it other than the use of the stilettos, really. But
that's not
just
really one scene. It's actually quite a cleverly put together piece of film that, you know, one thing with a lot of theatre film, this, that, the other, film more than anything, is they almost struggle nowadays to create one piece of a production. So a film this contains in 1 hour and 40 minutes, he's got a whole storyline with a start to an end, and that's it. They're not looking for a sequel or this, that and the other. So this is a perfect thing for translating into a stage play. And I think what we've seen with this is actually meddling with that formula and embellishing it and creating more of too many twists and turns, where actually that core thread you're really struggling to pull out of it, really. And I think that's why the writing's been quite, you know, at the forefront of this.
Anything else on the costumes on this one? Because they were all pretty much
normal
and
run of the mill, because it was modern day. And no, I don't think there's anything else.
I just want to congratulate Kim Marsh for going arse over tit over the balcony.
Spoilers. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
at the very end, because that was just hilarious. I mean, it wasn't meant to be, but how she did that.
Yeah.
I mean, what she was there 1 minute, 1 second, and then whoosh, gone. Straight over backwards.
Moving on to our next segment, as we say,
What the tech is this?
I struggled with this production, tech-wise, purely because there was a lot of really random decisions all the way through it.
So let's start with the music. There was
Yeah.
music and, the elevator noise and strange...
Yeah, with the music, I think, firstly, there was some really random choices of different songs, but quite modern day, but then almost... It's really difficult because I think...
It felt very Americanized.
Yeah, it was. We're all in English accents, but then we've got quite American rock songs and sort of new metal and a bit of Eminem thrown in and a bit of this and a bit of that. But
When you say bit of this, I mean, that could be like Bjork and ABBA, you're
yeah,
saying.
but I mean...
What do you mean?
What I
Bit of
mean
this,
is
bit of that?
they used a lot of sort of metal songs to show a bit of suspense or a bit of this, that and the other. As in, they wanted to create a bit of a shock every time we changed to another scene. But I felt like all we were doing was playing the intros of songs, so they never really got going, or they didn't pick a point in the song that actually meant something at that point in the production. It was like they played a bit of Eminem and it was a bit weird because it almost felt like I'm listening to the intro, so it didn't really feel like, where's this going? Because they didn't play it long enough. Or they didn't lead it into something. It was just like tiny bit and then stop it. I just didn't like the almost harshness of that when you're trying to build suspense up throughout the production. It was a bit... It just became a bit jarring, I think.
Yeah, but the whole intent of it was to just make a bit of a flash, make a loud noise so we can get people on and off through the transition of the blackout before we go into the next scene, and to build up on that. I suppose that's where they were going. But quite rightly so. The music was just...
It just didn't feel like it had intention throughout. You can still do that with certain songs and certain things, but I felt like the intention just felt a bit like... It felt disjointed. I felt like we've just we've got this track, we've got this album with all these different rock songs on. Let's just play that one there, that one there, that one there. And it really didn't... I think it just didn't feel cohesive throughout the whole piece. And even to...
I mean, I personally didn't mind it at first, but then it just got where it just felt even more louder.
Yeah.
But whether they were trying to make it more louder, unless my hearing failed
No, it was loud.
It was like they made it more louder, and it just became sporadic in terms of it was either loud 1 second, and then you got the sound effects of the noises and the doors opening and the lift as well.
Yeah, it was just
being
a lot.
even louder again. And you can't necessarily turn up the volume just to crank up the tension.
No, exactly.
Especially if it's not written to crank.
It doesn't increase the energy or the performance on stage if it doesn't mix.
But the lighting was really good. Even though I detested how they used the letterbox approach to the staging, I did really enjoy the whole
framing,
the framework, the flashing to blind you a little bit so they can shuffle people on and off the stage.
Yeah, that worked.
And the lighting over the crib as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Hints of blue.
Yeah. The only other thing I was going to say on sound is there was a lot of mixing issues in this one where some sound effects were a lot louder than others. And it didn't make sense. It's like you got somebody's phone vibrating in their pocket when they're sat on the sofa, and it was like the floor's rumbling, which is the same level as the lift.
Oh, and also, can I just point out, let's just swap numbers, let's put our phones together.
But it was a dead loud noise. Yeah. And yet the gunshots were quieter than any of that. And it was like in the second half, you've got a gun being waved about and shot and this, that, and the other. And you felt like that gunshot didn't have any impact.
I think when they try and do the phone things, it's because it's technology based and they're trying to show, this is a modern way of swapping numbers. I don't know how to do that on my phone.
No.
People do it. Just I need to have it written down.
Exactly. Or just ring each other.
Because I can't. Yeah, it's that whole when people send me a number and I've got to copy it over to there. It's like, I don't do it. I can't do it like that. But yeah, for the older members of the audience, let's just show them that this is how we do it now in the current times. Bing! I've just swiped you my number.
Yeah, and
it's making everything obvious.
It was crass sometimes. It was like, just don't... And I think the other thing is from the sound perspective. I'm not talking about sound effects now. I'm going to talk about microphones. So there was times when you've got 3 microphones across the front of the stage to pick up their voices, so they weren't mic'd.
Oh, we did hear they had technical issues for the mics, didn't we?
Yeah, but the other thing before I talk about that, one of the things I thought I heard was, well, shall I say couldn't hear, was when they were having conversations off stage.
Oh.
When they were stood in the bedroom shouting and talking.
Oh, right at the very back,
there were certain scenes where Hedy would go into the back room to talk to, I think it was either Bella or it was Graham, or it was,
I think it was Graham.
A few moments like that, and it was like, you're that far away from the microphones that actually nobody on a loop system would hear you. It was probably a key bit that could have mattered, but all you heard was almost shouting on stage, but it was inaudible because there was only mics right at the front. I just felt like you were losing stuff.
Well, I don't know. To be fair, I think you could hear Hedy. I think it was Ali's voice when she discovered the body in the bedroom as well.
I think there was just moments where...
Unless she just didn't react, I don't know.
Oh, it's hard to know that one is, I think. But the other thing is, the problem with putting those mics on the front of stage as well is every time they walked in front of the sofa, you got bang, 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 because they had to walk past those microphones.
And they had to do it in
And it was
stilettos.
right by their feet.
Yeah.
And it was like, surely they could have, because that screen was so low, they could have hung them off the screen. I mean, there was a few elements where you're thinking, yes, the sofa's close to the front, but actually it's going to cause a bit of a sound nightmare, because that's like, well, it just felt like you were miking people's feet up, and it just felt a bit, because they'll be enhanced, so you just picked everything up, and that's the problem. I think they're the things that then get in the way of the production, because that then becomes its own little...
Yeah.
The one thing I did like in tech was when they shot the books off the bookshelf.
Yeah.
Because that was a little bit of fun. But that...
It was a blink and you miss it.
It was a blink and you miss it, but I feel like... Oh, and the electric surge effects were good.
Yes, that was really good.
Like socket blew and some of the electrics blew in the kitchen and stuff like that. So that worked really well.
Yeah, that was really well done.
There were sparks that came out of things. So, and it was just enough of an effect not to feel like a panto. So it was actually quite good because it wasn't overly done.
I was just thinking when the moment you said about the books, I hadn't forgotten them, but I thought that it was like not really important to say, but because that was on one side and you had the kitchen on the other, and we couldn't really see into the fridge, and if it was a fridge at all or just a cupboard they were putting the lettuce in. It's because they didn't angle the sides out.
Exactly. They could have just pulled
did
it in.
Straight in like a normal room. Yeah. Which...
And that felt like a fail as well, because if you'd have just pulled it in for... There's a way you make set for theatres where you just pull the angles in a little bit so everybody sees it.
Angles out.
Yeah, angles at the front out. But you angle things a little bit more so more people can see things.
Yeah.
And there seems to be at the moment, we've seen a few things where everything's just been like draw a box on a piece of paper and just design it, not actually design it for a theatre production. And it's a strange way of doing it, really, I think.
Very strange. And now it's time for
Rewind Rewatch. I think I'll give it a miss.
Oh, okay. So there's no scene within this single white female play.
I suppose the bit where Hedy breaks down, and for me, I like it when I see actors actually lose their shit.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes to see the process to get to that headspace, that is actually the bit that...
That's the juice.
That's the bit the bit that's actually important to see.
Yeah.
Because that's a true actor performing in a really special moment, but it takes a lot for an actor to get to that level.
I'd probably rewind and see that.
Yeah.
Kim Marsh's breakdown.
We mean Hedy's, not Kim Marsh's.
Oh yeah, well
you know, I think
well, who performed it? It was Kim Marsh.
Exactly, yeah.
You know. Yeah. In fact, I'd just rewind and watch the film.
Yeah, well, yeah. To be honest, yeah.
Just watch the film.
Moving on to our final segment, as we say,
call this a show. So let's sum up then. Single white female, Richard. This was a sort of a letdown in a way, simply because I like psychological thrillers, and after watching the play, I had to go and watch the film just to see what it was based on, because I actually didn't realise it was based on the film. And I really liked the film, but it was just very much in the sense of the same thrillers that were going out at the time, from like the late 80s to the early 90s.
Yeah.
All those great ones like The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, that was another one,
Yeah.
and Basic Instinct, and I wanted to like it, but I couldn't.
No.
It has some really good actors in there, and they did what they could, but I think it suffocated with the writing, because I think the writer's trying to make it about single white female, and she clearly has that idea based on what she wants to say it's about, but I think there's a lot of things that had been missed, and actually what we get is two really good guys in this production and three women that turn out to be bad people.
Yeah.
Hetty's bad, Ali's bad, really,
And so's Bella.
and well, that was the third one I was going to come to. Bella turns out to be bad as well. And I mean, Ali, while she's not portrayed as bad in any way, but she leaves the kid at home.
Yeah.
And she's making out that all men are bastards and this, that, and the other. But it's just not the case at all, because that's not what we see. So I think something's been missed here with translation from the film to the stage play. So it's not really one for me. And also, I suppose, everyone ends up as a victim of like their own circumstance.
Yeah, it's
as well. So
I think I totally agree with what you've said, and I just think the decision to add things but not keep the core of the stories is quite strange to me, because it's hard when you label something so close to the film and you include pictures of the film and in the program and you build it up to be related to the film, and then what you watch has got no relation at all, really.
Not really.
In the whole premise of it, it's really, really different to what we've seen. And if people go back and watch the film after they've seen it, they'll go, hang on a minute, this was nothing like what we watched. And it doesn't even feel nostalgic that it's a new take on what happened, or it just feels very just completely different. It's like they've, as I've said previously earlier on, I feel like the production's been sold based on the name, because people have seen the film, and the content doesn't necessarily matter as much as the actual name of the production. So, which is frustrating, because this could be so much more thrilling and so much more striking. Writers need to, when they adapt, have got to make sure the perspective and the drive is for something very specific, so a bigger audience can understand it.
Sometimes I get the impression that writers see what they want to see out of it, and they try and put their spin on what they think it is rather than what it actually is.
Yeah, exactly.
Because being an independent woman in the 90s, those kind of films, you had Sex and the City TV series as well. In essence, it was slightly groundbreaking, but there was a lot more to it back then. There were business women in a man's world, basically, and they were doing that. Trying to update that now, it doesn't stand up to that.
No.
But what we do end up having is women coming across as just being negative and whinging and moaning and just being petty, and actually, when you think about it, it's as if she needs someone to look after her, or she needs a man in the house just to do stuff, because it's like she's struggling. So what is the conversation here? That you can't have everything?
Yeah, and I think that's where the end point makes it feel a bit like, is that it? Is that the end of it? It just feels a bit flat, and I think that's the flat in a flat.
Scores then, please, Richard, for Single White Female. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being a perfect psychological thriller in heels, and 1 being a production with a mild personality disorder. What's it going to be?
Well, I'm going to give this a down the middle 5 out of 10. Because I think the storyline let it down, quite honestly.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. It's definitely a 5 for me. So that's a 2 5-star down the middle review. So do you know what that means on our little star-ometer? It's 2.5 stars. Oops. So what sound effect will you be choosing from the following? A complete train wreck. Tumbleweed. An audible shrug of the shoulders. A slow clap. A pleasant applause. Or a standing ovation. What will it be?
I'll give it a pleasant applause. Because the acting wasn't awful. And Kim did a great job. So yeah, pleasant applause for me.
And same, it's just going to have to be a pleasant applause. So there we are. That's our discussion of Single White Female. We hope you found it insightful,
if not entertaining.
Stay tuned as we bring you more of our thoughts
and opinions
on many theatrical delights in future episodes.
If you'd like to get in touch, email us at upstagedownsstagepod@gmail.com. You can always join in the chat to share with us your views of a production.
Also, make sure to follow, share, like and subscribe to all our channels so you get every episode the second it's released. And we hope you join us again for another instalment of Upstage Downstage. We saw this production at Sheffield Lyceum on the 28th of April. Why did I say April? I was going to say April. Is adapted for the stage by acclaimed writer and journalist Rachel Reed. Rebecca Reed. Why did I say Rachel? Fucking my life.
Ali is a recovered... not recovered.
Ali!
Ali! Down the alley.
Ali, get your gun. You don't need it.
Ali Golly Social. Football reference. Struggling to balance the pressures of parenting and work, she takes in a lodger. To help with the bills.
I wasn't particularly bowled over by the character of Alfie.
No.
But Hetty, played by Kim Marsh,
You mean
just
Ali? So the character of Alfie. What's it all about?
Damn it!
What's it all about?
Are you disgusted by that cake?
No, I'm trying to eat it.
Eat it. Somebody down in one, you're like a bloody seagull.
I've been to McDonald's. Anyway.
What's that got to do with it? It means you're primed. It wasn't
expensive.
Givenchy, was
no,
it?
exactly. It wasn't the little black dress that everybody remembers. Yeah, it wasn't Le Coivre, darling.
No.
But as the lines blur between guests and friends... Oh, no, as the lines... No, because I read the end before. God's sake.
You got squeaky shoes? You're doing some tap dancing down there.
I know. Blending suspense, dark humour and sharp... Blending suspense, dark humour and smart comedy.
No, sharp.
No. Blending suspense, dark humour... I don't know why I paused. Blending suspense, dark humour and sharp commentary on modern isolation. Single white...
Yeah, carry on.
I did just describe, hold on. Blending
female.
suspense... Yeah, all right.
Just go from single white female, because you've done that.
Yeah, okay. Blending suspense, dark humour and sharp...
Tap dancing down there. I can hear one from here. Put your clogs away.